Welcome, everybody, to the Bottom Line Podcast. My name is Will. This is a podcast that grew out of a group chat where we talked after every single wrestling show. And so we finally just decided to put this on the internet. So with me, I have our resident rock lover, Mr. Alex.
The final boss, not a regular rock. The Rock. The only one. The real OTC. The real champion.
And his brother, the even weirder Dolph Ziggler lover.
I'm here to show the world, baby.
You sound a little bit like Austin Powers there and B.
I'm here to show the world, baby. Yeah. Look, man, I don't know what I'm going to do. One day I'm going to convince y'all that he is a great superstar. But until that day.
This is a WWE podcast, and he's not in WWE anymore, so he's not even called.
Doesn't matter. Nick Namath, whatever it is. I don't care. Namath, whatever.
That somehow makes
that is Dolph Ziggler, man. Dolph.
And he already is.
Dolph.
Sorry, didn't mean to derail.
So how we're going to do this is on a normal week, we're going to go through Raw first and then Smackdown. And on PLE weeks, we're going to do Raw, Smackdown, and the PLE with more focus on the PLE because, of course, they're the go-home shows and there's not a whole lot going on. So this week, we're going to start with Raw on Netflix. So first up is this gloriously edited video package by WWE's editing crew. They always do a great job. What do we think of that and the whole drop down of the curtain thing Triple H did?
I got to say, I think initially going into Raw Netflix, this is a brand new show. That's what they meant it to feel like, right? So in a lot of ways, you got to think about it in the perspective of they're going to get a ton more eyes on the product than they have in the past, right? So I think it was actually a really great way to introduce people that maybe haven't had the opportunity to be exposed to wrestling as it exists today as much, or maybe not been exposed to it at all, right? So I thought it was really, really interesting to see him kind of go through and use some terms like heel and face and talk about the business and the fact that it's a storytelling type business, right? And I thought it was great. I think it's going to introduce new folks and kind of dismiss the stigma that wrestling is just a fake kind of show that doesn't have a lot of depth to it. I think them projecting it on those screens and doing that really great intro shows you just how deep wrestling is, right? And then obviously the curtains go up and we get the big reveal of Triple H, who I would call the godfather of WWE now.
Yeah.
And we hope that stays that way forever, right?
Yes.
And he gave us just the high energy, are you ready, right? Give us the DX nod. Welcome to Raw on Netflix, right? And really, Raw has, as far as I know, and for the entirety of my life, always been on USA. So
always
to see it be on Netflix, it really is the dawn of a new era. And he did say that. He said the Netflix era. So as far as Triple H's involvement in the beginning of the show, I think it really felt like we were turning a page. We're on a new chapter, and that we're welcoming in a whole new audience. I loved it. I thought Triple H absolutely knocked it out of the park.
Yeah, for what you're saying with it bringing new eyes back to wrestling and to wrestling, I think it did its job as far as making you feel more welcome to watch wrestling. And to also, it was very good at keeping you caught up too, because didn't the video package start with like Hogan and all them, and then it goes gradually throughout the years. And so like it's going to reel in them old fans that haven't watched in a long time. It's going to reel in some new fans because it's a lot of stuff they haven't seen. And honestly, the best part about it was when the video package was over. not in a bad way, but the best part about it was Triple H's monologue. Bringing back welcoming back everyone to Raw, starting the new era, and I thought he did a fantastic job. It was just it just felt like home, and it was like, it's not home because it's not USA Network, but with Triple H being there to reassure you that yes, just because we're on Netflix, we still the same old WWE, and we're going to put on a show, and I think he did a great job.
Yeah, you could tell it was clearly written to set the tone.
Yeah.
Like, welcome back or welcome in. It's very much, I could tell the theme that they wanted the show to feel like, and I think he did a fantastic job bringing it in.
Runner-up question: how do you guys feel about the show being as long as it is now? Are you guys fatigued towards the end of the show, or you guys love it that we're getting more wrestling? What do you guys think?
You're talking about the 3 hours?
Yeah, like the 3 hour, 3.5, whichever. And also that it doesn't actually have a set runtime. They can go out.
That's more important to me.
That's a really great question. I think, and I heard Triple H answer this in an interview, and I really like the way he answered it, which is like, hey, sometimes you're watching a TV show and it's an episodic TV show, and sometimes an episode might be 45 minutes, sometimes it might be an hour and a half, just depending on what their story requires. So if they stick to that, in my eyes, I like it. I'll be honest. I was a proponent of, I don't know that I always loved 3-hour Raws, but the only reason I didn't love 3-hour Raw is because it really felt like a lot of weeks they were stretching storylines and inserting things into the program that didn't need to be there to fill time. And for me, a 3-hour program is a long time. You think about, you got to work. If you have an 8-hour a day job, that's 8 hours plus you add Raw to that. Now we're talking 11 hours, and right, like so
it stretches your Monday.
Exactly right. It needs to feel important. So to answer your question, Nathan, I think it can be great. And actually, this episode of Raw felt perfect. And it was just over 3 hours, which was different than what people had been reporting, was that it was going to be 3.5 hours. It was just over 3 hours. It felt like everything fit where it needed to fit. Everything got the time it needed to get. The only concern I have moving forward is not every show is going to be the first show on Netflix.
No.
Right? Like, this was a big show. This had some really great matches. And next week, we've got Damian Priest and Finn Balor in a street fight, which I don't think is going to be a terrible match, but it's not Seth Rollins versus CM Punk. So the answer to your question is we'll see.
Right. Yeah. Well, the lineup had the potential to hold that runtime for sure. So it always kept you intrigued. Now, I do see where you're coming with, like Finn Balor, matches some people are excited for, but most aren't. I can see where a lot of people are going to be picking up their phones and being on Twitter a lot more than actually watching the 3-hour show that's happening in front of them. Now, me personally, my personal experience, when I was watching Raw this last Monday, I was really tired towards the end because like you said, I had just worked, came home, watched it. By the time Punk and Rollins were out there, I was like, you know what I mean? So I could see where, from a standpoint, it's great. We get more wrestling. We do.
And you got to consider, and this is for the audience, right? You're in Central Time.
Yeah.
We're all in Central Time.
All in Central Time.
If you're in Eastern Time, the show ends at 11.
Lord have mercy. Yeah.
So you got to think, man, the storytelling has to be good to earn that extra hour. Yes. And that's where my concern lies. I have always been a proponent of a 2-hour show. I think a 2-hour show makes it feel like the time slots are being competed for as opposed to being sold off to the lowest bidder, right? Or we're just, we got to fill a 3-hour show. Let's stick Carmelo Hayes out there or something, right? Like the difference between that and a 2-hour show is, hey, we've only got so much real estate. The big players are going out. They realize they have to entertain in a certain amount of time, and it almost just feels like, to me, to deliver a better show that way. But more wrestling is not a problem for me. I love wrestling. I want them to get as much TV time as possible. I think it's great for the younger talent to be able to go out there and show their stuff. Yeah. And we've got to have real estate on a show to do that. But you don't want to feel like it's inflated artificially, and it doesn't feel like it's worth our investment and our time. So there's a balance there. That's why Triple H makes the big bucks. So hopefully he can pull it off.
Yeah, I was going to say,
fall on the flip side of this, though. I fall more along the lines of, I really like the 3 hours, but more important to me is I like that little line Triple H said where it doesn't have to be 3 hours.
Yeah,
exactly.
I like, because up to 3 hours, it can feel a little draining. not every week has to go all the way to the very end of 3 hours.
See, now,
I think that'll kind of fix your problem with those 3-hour shows in the past, where Vince was just kind of cobbling things together and it didn't look all that good, and you were like, ugh, by the end. So I kind of trust Triple H here.
If you would have asked me 3 years ago, hey, Raw is now 3 hours, 3.5 hours long with no runtime, I'd have told you, wow, that's disgusting. But now we have a stacked roster. We have a really great roster, huge, lot of people that can use that runtime. And I think that that's probably the overall hallmark of it, the showtime being as long as it is.
Not to get too wordy here, but I do want to make this one point. You just told me, and honestly, I feel the same, that at an end time of 10:05 p.m., you were getting tired towards the end of Raw.
Yes.
Yeah. This show had The Rock.
Oh, yeah, no. It had a lot.
Wait a minute. It had CM Punk.
Mm-hmm.
It had you have all these big stars that are on the show that we know aren't going to be there week to week.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be a tough one. It's going to be a tough one to do. I think it's a tough sell. I hope for the best. Hope that they can utilize the time effectively. But I think a consistent 3-hour show is tough to fill. And I would say this, right? Other than maybe a football game or a sporting event where just the general length of the game goes that long, name me one other entertainment forum that fills 3 hours effectively.
They don't.
Right.
And baseball's trying to get games under 3 hours.
Mm-hmm. And it's not like Triple H is going to shoot for 3 hours every Monday. He's not.
He made that pretty clear.
There's no way he's going to be able to.
We'll see in the coming weeks. We'll see where they finish shows off. That'd be a good thing for us to talk about.
Yeah, for sure.
After Triple H, The Rock comes out, and he had his final boss entrance, but that did not feel like the final boss to me. I don't know if you two felt the same way. That felt like generic, like when John Cena was around.
I have a complete theory on why he did that. And I know it's kind of lame, not keeping up with kayfabe, current storyline, yada, yada, yada. But as we talked about with the last subject, a lot of new eyes are on WWE. Yeah. People are not caught up. Most people don't know. They're just tuning back in, or it's their first time watching ever. And The Rock comes out. And, I mean, if you want to put a percentage on it, you maybe 30% of people don't know that The Rock is a heel, part of the bloodline, all this other stuff. And for a big name to come out there and give Cody his flowers to show, hey, I used to be the big guy back in the day. The big guy now is Cody, right there in the stands. Things have changed. And I think that's the only reason that they went that route. It's a little strange and jarring for people who tune in every week, of course. But I think I understand the reason they did it. Do I like it? No. I thought it was dumb. But, to each his own. That's the reason I think that they did it. Now,
two things. I see your point, and actually, if I follow my thoughts through to conclusion, that's definitely why they did it. Here's what I don't like, right? So you flip on Infinity War if you're a Marvel fan. Everybody knows who Thanos is in the Marvel universe. Thanos didn't come out and go, hey, fans, welcome to Infinity War. Nice to see ya. Glad you guys came to the fucking movies. Excuse my language. He walked out and he was holding Thor's lifeless body, and he threw him on the ground like garbage, and then he beat the hell out of the Hulk, right? Everybody knows who The Rock is. We've now established with Triple H and his intro that this is great storytelling. We did this already. We explained that these are characters. This is a show. This is written. And then we have a sporting event afterwards, right? So it was all explained. Man, I really, as one of The Rock's biggest fans, I got to tell you, I'm a giant Rock fan. I've been watching him since he came out with the Nation of Domination and was awkward with his little mohawk hair. I mean, I've watched Rock all the way through. So coming from one of the biggest Rock fans on the face of the earth, man, I think they really dropped the ball here. I think this was a great opportunity. The Rock didn't need to come out after Triple H. In my opinion, I think you start the tribal combat match, which we'll talk a little bit about that further. But as far as The Rock goes, man, I think he had his moment to walk out there and drag Thor like Thanos did at the end of that match, and we didn't take that opportunity. And what frustrates me is we had the most eyes on the product that we will probably have until WrestleMania 41 in that moment, and we dropped the ball in favor of Dwayne Johnson walking out there and being friends and buddies with people in the crowd.
That's what it felt like.
And,
They did not
and
feel
look,
like The Rock.
100%.
so I understand why they did it. I think it was the wrong call. And I'll be honest, I don't think this is my opinion. Could be wrong. I don't think Triple H made that call. I think that was Rock that wanted to do that. He wanted to come out and be face Rock, happy-go-lucky, nice to see you, welcome to Raw Netflix guy. I think it hurt the storytelling. Now, that's not to say that we can't turn this thing around.
Yeah,
it
can be recovered.
And then Rock walked out on the next NXT pay-per-view, New Year's Evil, and he told the crowd, hey, The Rock's always thinking 20 steps ahead. Just enjoy the roller coaster, the ride that I'm taking you on. So that tells me they have a plan to turn around. My only problem is you had a lot of eyes in that moment. Your entrance was fantastic. The Rock has the best entrance, and I'm going to say this with impunity here. The Rock has the best entrance of any WWE superstar of all time. And I know that's controversial.
No.
Lord, listen to me. The final boss, The Rock, that is a special entrance. I mean, it feels.
No. You're just committing sacrilege now.
It feels.
No, we're not.
You got to admit, Will, it's got aura, bro. It's got aura.
It's great. It's great.
Even
nobody beats the Undertaker.
Even more than the Undertaker. I love the Undertaker. I think the Undertaker is arguably the best to ever do it. But with time and progression, we have created an entrance here with The Rock that is really special. For him to do that entrance and then come out and be buddy-buddy with everybody, I think was counterproductive. So I hope they turn it around. I didn't like the segment. I think it took a crap on a lot of storytelling that we've built up over the last year and a half. And I got my eyes focused intently on, hey, are we going to turn this around? Are we going to make this interesting again? Because I think him hugging and kissing on Cody Rhodes and all those things, I think it doesn't serve what we initially told all these new eyes at the beginning with Triple H, which is the story.
And for everybody listening to these two and thinking, oh, the third guy over here is going to speak all nice things about this segment on The Rock. Sorry, you're a Rock fan. Just said something. I think this segment missed entirely. I think it was not needed. This was not The Rock. This was not the final boss. This was Dwayne Johnson in Hollywood getting his moment with who knows how many millions of people watching. It completely missed the mark for me. They should have just started the tribal combat match immediately.
Mm-hmm.
Which now talking about this tribal combat between Solo Sikoa and Roman Reigns. I quite enjoyed this. I loved all of the different interferences that always come with the bloodline rules or tribal combat, however we're going to describe it.
It's the same thing at this point.
Yeah, it's the same thing.
There's no difference.
Absolutely zero difference.
It just means the end of the match is going to feel like in Avengers Endgame. And I'm going to harken back a lot of Avengers calls here, but that's what it feels like.
So first up, I'm going to ask all three of us to rate this match. And to explain our rating system to everybody, we're going to go a 0 through 10. And all three of us have agreed on 2 matches so everybody can know what our standard is at 10. So our agreed upon standard at 10 is WrestleMania Rock versus Hogan and Shawn Michaels versus The Undertaker 1. That's what we have agreed are our 10s collectively. So you get an idea of where we are on the rating scale. So, gentlemen, 0 out of 10.
Me personally, I'm not going to give it a 10. I'll right off the rip. It's a good match, but it was basically WrestleMania Cody versus Roman 2.0. Was it as exciting as that match? No. Didn't have, the star power that match had. But it was good for what it was on a Raw. Very good. I think for free TV, Well, I don't know. Is it technically free TV anymore? You pay?
It's not free anymore.
Not really, huh?
Gotta pay for it. That's not
No,
free.
man, that's rough. Well, for what would have been free TV, I think it was
I don't
very
think any TV is really free anymore unless it's a local channel, right?
well.
So,
Nah.
but I see what you're getting at, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
it's not
For a
PLE.
weekly,
For a
for a
regular show.
weekly,
Yeah.
for a weekly match that can happen. I think it did fantastic. I would probably give that match probably a 7 out of 10. It was good. It hit all the warm spots that you needed. It fed you, had a good conclusion, and I think Roman did fantastic for someone, who doesn't wrestle week to week, PLE to PLE, who hasn't been the front man, he definitely felt like through this match, you felt like Roman had something to prove, and I think he got that message across very well. As far as the ending for the match, when Roman does win and The Rock comes out, that's a whole nother topic that I think we should save. Yeah, we'll save.
We'll get there after the rating.
That's the part of the match that doesn't make it a 10 and makes it a 7 for me. But we will talk about that.
Alex?
I would say, just for reference, if I give something a 5, that means it's average, right? So if I were to give something a 5 out of 10, I'm going to say, that's like baseline. If I saw it, I'd go, it's not terrible, it's not good, right? I was really looking forward to this match, and I actually went to SummerSlam in 2024, and this was the match that I thought was going to headline SummerSlam 2024, right? So a couple of months later than I would have liked to have seen it, but I think it had a really great build-up. I think it had really great stakes, which for me are the makings of a really great match. So, hey, I've been saying all along, this Ulafala, it's like a championship, right? Whoever carries the Ulafala leads the biggest dynasty in professional wrestling history.
They're
Right?
certainly treating it like that.
Right. And that's awesome. They should, right? Roman Reigns spent 1,316 days building that,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
Some of that shine rubbed off on that Ulafala. So
Mhm.
the stakes were right. The storytelling was right. I think the match was strong. I think it was well wrestled. I'm actually really impressed with Solo Sikoa's improvement in the ring. Year over year, he's getting better. And that's all you can ask for. And he's actually had the right pedigree, and he's spent time with the right people to get better. And he tells a much better story in the ring. I will say, it being called tribal combat and that being the exact same as bloodline rules or whatever the case may be, I don't necessarily love the fact that all of that is the same. But I will say, every time that gets tagged onto a match, aside from Roman versus Jay at SummerSlam, anytime either of those get tagged on, it typically turns out to be pretty entertaining, right? So we had the run in of the new bloodline, and then we had Sammy and Jimmy come out and save them. And then we had KO, which I thought was a really great surprise. I don't think I
I don't think
anticipated.
any of us saw that coming. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't
No.
think KO would be interfering in this match, but he did. And he tried to do his package pile driver on Roman Reigns, which could have been devastating, right? The way they've been selling that move to be so powerful. And then you get what I think is a bigger deal than most people are making out. I think it's a little more than just building tension, but you get Cody Rhodes again coming out to save
Paving the
Roman
bloodline.
Reigns, right?
Yeah.
This dynamic is important, right? Because these guys were mortal enemies leading through WrestleMania 39, all the way through WrestleMania 40.
Yeah.
And now you've got this betrayal storyline, which I believe will eventually lead to Cody versus Randy, right? I think this is where
Randy's
that's
been
Oh, yeah.
MIA.
they make it a point to, through circumstance, align Cody with Roman pretty often. And I think that's what that's leading to. Ultimately, Roman Reigns is the winner, and he should be the winner. I don't see a world where Solo Sikoa gets a win here. From that perspective, I think that makes it a little predictable. But I'm probably going to give this match. I'm going to give this one 8. Right? I think little higher than where Nathan went. I think this match is the fork in the road for a lot of storylines, from Cody Rhodes to Roman Reigns to The Rock to Solo to Jacob Fatu. this is kind of a fork in the road for all of those storylines. I think they did it really well, minus a few decisions that we'll talk about with The Rock a little later. And this is one of those, I'll be honest with you, the greatness of this match hinges on how good the storylines are that come out of it, right? So if they totally drop the ball after this, I probably look back on this match and think it's like a 6 or a 5. But with me being hopeful and hoping they really make lemonade out of lemons here, I'm going to give it an 8.
So I'm big on finishes and how matches end. That adds a lot to my rating.
Me too.
This was an entertaining match that was clearly meant to be entertaining and have nuggets for what we've all been watching. Again, though, clearly this had been produced and planned on just being entertaining for the new guys, for the new people watching. But they did land it correctly, in my opinion, with Roman. So, with all that said, I'm going to go 8 because they landed it properly. And I'm hoping, like Alex said, that all these little nuggets that they threw in lead to other storylines coming up in future weeks, because we are in WrestleMania season. And this has a lot of stuff you can pull from. Speaking of which, after the match was almost more interesting than the match itself, because we get Paul Heyman, Roman Reigns, and The Rock coming back out, all in the same ring. And this is when the first Rock segment almost was worse for me. This made it almost worse. Because he comes out, he takes the Ula Fala from Paul, and he just puts it around Roman's neck and sits in the corner.
Oh, it makes me so mad to think about it.
Okay, I rewatched this. I have
you can't save it, dude.
And Will, we were sitting together watching this match.
We did point this out. He is correct what he's about to say. I know.
Okay. Tell me what you see.
A few small things here. Initially watched the match, Will knew I was upset, right? Especially
he was very upset, guys. Just know that he was extremely upset.
Playing the good guy, didn't love it. But upon rewatch and a little bit more inspection, I think there's some nuggets in here that are leading to Roman versus Rock at WrestleMania. And I'm going to tell you what those are, right? First, WWE loves to do these really great video packages that have fantastic camera shots, right?
Absolutely.
That shot.
And if you watch the product long enough, you start to realize when they pop up. When they pop up on screen, you go, boom, that's one for a video package, right? Roman Reigns is sitting on the mat, and you get this beautiful shot over Roman Reigns' shoulder where you see The Rock walking up the ramp.
Mm-hmm.
It was beautifully shot. Beautiful.
I think it was well done. I think it was planned specifically for that reason.
Clearly.
And then there's number 2. The Rock puts the Ula Fala on Roman Reigns, and they do a perfect shot of them staring each other down, right?
Mm-hmm.
This also looked like a really great video package shot that I think could be used to promote their match at WrestleMania 41. This might be just me reading tea leaves here.
It's that poster shot. It's like the marquee poster shot. It's perfect.
Here's what I'm going to say. I trust Triple H. After last year's WrestleMania, I actually really trust The Rock with decisions being made. I don't really love him coming out being the nice guy, but if we're going to turn this thing around, I do think that him and Roman needs to happen this year. If we have The Rock and he's available, it has to happen, right? It's in Las Vegas, one of the biggest WrestleManias of all time, and it will be the biggest WrestleMania of all time if they put this match on the card. So while I really, really wanted The Rock to hit Roman with a rock bottom, I think we were all right there on the edge of our seat. Like,
we're waiting for it.
When's he going to hit him? What's he going to do? Is Paul Heyman going to hit him? I think that was intentional. I think it's intentional to kind of pull you along and keep you on the edge of your seat. And we're going to continue to feel like that all the way up until WrestleMania. We've got some big shows ahead. We got Royal Rumble on the horizon. I think your turn, right? Your big turn is coming at Royal Rumble upon rewatch and inspection.
Okay.
Here's what I think.
Yeah, go ahead.
If we're doing a match, I really hate this segment. If we're doing the Rock Roman match, I hate this. Because we can get the turn at the Rumble and all will be forgiven, most likely. But for me personally, if we're still doing Rock Roman, I do not understand how you leave those two standing in the ring without a rock bottom. I just don't. Which this leads me to believe that I'm not fully confident they're still doing this match, and I won't be until I hear the Rock's music at the Royal Rumble.
Yeah, the main thing that makes me mad about it is that like there's almost no build up right now, like almost none. There's a little bit. There's not a whole lot.
Time.
We have nothing to bite off of currently. We have three PLEs.
Months.
Yeah, I mean we have.
We got
3 months to do something. 3 months to do something.
2 shows a week for 3 months.
Yeah.
No, you got
Okay.
time.
Plus PLEs.
Yeah.
That's a long time.
But here's my thing. This is what made me so angry about the whole situation. Is the whole day of Raw, like before Raw aired, and the day before, Rock's on Twitter posting how he's the High Chief. It's a great honor, highest ranking, whatever in the Samoan culture. I just don't like him asking for the Ulafala and just putting it on Roman the entire build up that entire day. Because you're thinking the whole day, you're thinking that Roman is going to get rock bottomed or Rock is going to take that Ulafala and put it on himself since he is the new High Chief, and which is apparently more higher ranked than a tribal chief. And so it was just like a letdown, it felt like. Because when Rock, you only get Rock for so long until he goes and does whatever he does, acting and what. So I feel like when you do have Rock, you have to do something. You have to capitalize when he's there because you don't know if he's going to show up in the next month or two.
Jeez, man, I get it.
They've been teasing it since last year.
I agree with you, but it's you got to dangle that carrot a little bit so that when it happens, it's really special. And here's what I'll say. Again, I agree with you. I was disappointed in the moment, but at the end of the day, they got to do it on their timeline, not when you expect it. Because if it happens when you expect it, it's less special.
Well, now we all expect it.
Yeah.
Now we all expect at some point during the Rumble,
next time
we're
Rock
going
shows
to hear
up.
No, you don't. You just told me you don't think they're doing the match.
If they're doing the match, that's my point.
That is the exact trap they're trying to lure you in, on my opinion. And we'll see. Maybe they don't do the match. But the great thing that I like about it is now I have doubt. And so that when they do the big reveal at Royal Rumble or Elimination Chamber, whatever they're planning, if they're planning it, then it feels special to me because I thought I wasn't going to get it. Whereas heading into Raw Netflix, I was sure I was going to get it.
Because the way I'm feeling right now is I feel like absolutely nothing is going to happen at Royal Rumble. And I mean nothing.
That's cool. So when it does happen, you'll
genuinely nothing. I think the only thing that's going to happen at Royal Rumble, and it's going to make everyone mad, like this last Raw did, is the only thing that's going to happen is Cena wins the Royal Rumble. I don't think we get Rock at Royal Rumble. I don't think we have anything special with him or Cody or Roman happen. I don't.
The episode of this podcast February 1st is going to be a good one. We'll just say that.
And we'll get to the Royal Rumble. We got plenty of time tonight.
Yeah.
So next up, the thing that really hurts my soul. This is going to hurt me all year. You're going to have to listen to me hate all of this. John Cena kicks off the farewell tour. And he comes out acknowledging what the internet has sleuthed out over the last 6 months. John Cena hasn't won a singles match since pre-COVID.
Yep.
And so do we think clearly Nathan doesn't think he's winning the Rumble.
I said he was going to win the Rumble. I did say.
Oh, you think he's
I said that's like going to be the only thing that happens at Royal Rumble.
He ends the segment by of course entering the Rumble. But I mean, there's other ways he could get to WrestleMania. There is the Elimination Chamber. I know we typically do that for the World Heavyweight Championship, but we could always do that for the WWE Championship.
Yeah,
I mean, he could do it.
I wanted to
either
cry
one of
like a
those
baby.
things.
I wanted to cry like a baby when I saw him come out. It's really sad.
It hurts.
It's my childhood hero, man.
Is it though? Is it really sad? We hate to
Very
see him
sad.
go, but I'm going to tell you what. I could not imagine a better way to retire for somebody who is one of the greats of our business.
Yeah, I'm happy
than
for him.
saying, I'm calling my shot. I'm calling the timeline, and after this, you can't see me. There's a sad part to it, but when you look back on what is inevitably for our generation one of our favorite wrestlers, you're going to say, "Hey, he had a great career, and he went out the way he wanted to go out,
For
and
sure.
that makes me happy." Here's what I'll say: shocker, they could go two ways with this, but they're definitely going
Shocker.
one of these two ways. Either John Cena is winning this Royal Rumble, and he's headed to WrestleMania, right? He's going to go right to the top of the mountain and win WrestleMania and have this
Or he's
undisputed
not.
title. And then he's going to have great matches and feuds all the way through until he drops it and then retires. Or that's that we're going to get kind of dropped off a cliff here, guys, right? Like he's going to go to Royal Rumble. We have all this hope. We're all cheering him on. He gets thrown out.
Roman's going to dump him in 2 seconds.
Mhm.
Right. And then now you have the Rocky story of how do I build up that muscle and become the Super Cena I once was, and he'll hit that climax and get to the top towards the end of his final run. It's going to be one of the two. If you had to ask me, I think he wins at Royal Rumble because I don't see anyone else who does. I don't see anybody else who makes sense. You could give it to Roman Reigns, but I feel strongly that Roman Reigns is headed to The Rock. You could give it to CM Punk, which actually wouldn't now that I'm thinking about it, not a bad one because he has called out Gunther several times and he could head to Gunther. But that leaves John Cena up in the air, and that leaves Cody Rhodes, who we know is still going to have the belt, I would say, by WrestleMania, up in the air. So for me, the obvious choice is either John Cena or The Rock.
Yeah. I mean, but like, if you're wanting to predict, let's say Cena does win the Royal Rumble, okay? Of course, the only person he's going to pick, which we actually don't know, is going to be Cody. Okay?
Yeah.
Do you make Cody drop that belt to Cena? Especially since, which I said, he's on a losing streak. And the way the Royal Rumble is set up is that anybody could win. It is completely lucky. Okay? It's scripted, of course. But the way they make you believe it is that it's completely lucky and you never know who the hell's going to win. So, I mean, what do you do? This is my only issue with the belt being dropped to Cena at WrestleMania. What do you do with Cody? Or you have so many main events. I understand that.
Cody needs a nap.
I understand
that. The company on his back.
I understand that. Now. But there are so many main event storylines right now that have to conclude at some point. Where do you fit Cena in all of this? Where do you fit the Bloodline? Where do you fit Punk? Where do you fit Rock? Where do you fit all these people that want that main event spotlight just for it to be taken? Like, say, CM Punk, for instance. What do you do with him when he wants a main event and he deserves it, but Rock and Cena come and just completely take it? I mean, there's a lot of things here that are miss.
I want to be in the main event of WrestleMania. Unfortunately, there's more talented and more famous people than me, right? This year, it's cool. You want to be in the main event of WrestleMania? So does everybody else. Yes. This year, there just happens to be a lot of competition for that slot. I think I think you put the belt on John for a few reasons. This is his farewell tour, and you're going to generate a lot of money and put a lot of butts in seats going from house show to Raw to Smackdown to all these things with John Cena. Hey, John Cena's got the belt one last time. Go see your childhood, right?
Right.
Cody Rhodes needs a break, right? He's been carrying the company for several years. I think he needs some time. He had, what I would say is maybe a little bit of a lackluster run with the belt, but he could end on a high note with a great match with John Cena. And then he could come back just in time to see John Cena drop that belt to Randy Orton in his final retirement match. And that would lead to a big main event where Cody Rhodes is coming back after his belt with Randy Orton. I think that brings it full circle. So I think there's a lot of reasons to drop the belt. Cody needs to drop the belt, and there's only a couple of options that make sense for him to drop the belt. John Cena is one of them, right? Your alternative is The Rock. I don't want to see that.
Yeah.
I don't think The Rock serves the business the best.
Yeah. He does not need a title.
KO's not the undisputed title. The type to be the undisputed champion right now. I'm sorry. If you love Kevin Owens, great. He's an upper mid-card guy for me. He's a great wrestler, but he's not the face that runs the place. John Cena
never will be.
And if it's me, if I'm booking anything here, John Cena, he wins it right there. Why not? His last WrestleMania in Las Vegas, biggest WrestleMania of all time. Cody Rhodes had his run. He had his time. His time is up. John Cena's time is now. That belt is going on John Cena. Thank you.
Okay. I'm not going to give you my Royal Rumble take because I'm going to do that later, and I'm going to give you a much different view than these two have. But it is my job to now bring up the segment that I legitimately hated the most of the night, and I say this fully. Rhea Ripley defeated Liv Morgan like we thought. Unfortunately, very predictable. And what made it worse, Undertaker comes out after the match and gives Rhea the rub in the American Badass.
In the American Badass gimmick, yeah.
Like when I tell you guys, this. Fortunately, the girls put on a great match. I will say that the girls put on a great match. I would give it an 8, just based off the match.
I don't know if I'd rank it that high.
I hate the ending. And I hate that they took the belt off Liv Morgan for Rhea. I know they're probably headed for a Becky Lynch thing with Rhea again to try to give these girls another opportunity healthy at Mania, but it just hurts. All of this just did not hit for me.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, I'll make my thoughts very quick here on this. I've seen Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan wrestle twice now live, right? Fortunately and unfortunately, I was grateful to be there. But their match at SummerSlam was great. Their match at Bad Blood was bad, and this match was worse. Nobody wants to see Liv Morgan drop this belt, especially to Rhea Ripley in a situation where it was super predictable. And then to put the cherry on top as she's walking down the ramp, what is arguably the greatest of all time comes out and essentially gives her the rub. I think Rhea Ripley is progressing, and I think she's a superstar in her own right. I don't see her as the leader of the women's division. I think that title goes to Charlotte or Becky or Bianca. And I didn't enjoy this match, and I never want to see them wrestle again. And
I agree.
I definitely don't want to see these two again.
The prospect of a Rhea Ripley title run again makes me want to throw up. So,
well, especially it being the second best title in the women's division, this title needs to be passed around a little bit more efficiently.
It does.
It needs to go on a lot more women. I could name like 4 of them that it needs to be on. And it's just a little upsetting that everyone just fanboys and fangirls over Rhea Ripley. And she's great, don't get me wrong.
Internet loves her.
But oh my God, the internet wins with Rhea Ripley. And
I don't care. She is boring on the mic.
So boring.
I will give her, she has a relatively decent wrestling skill. She has improved. But I'm just not, like, her storytelling doesn't make me want to turn the TV on. I'm not interested in her the way that I was with Charlotte and Becky. And even Bianca now, right? Like, Bianca Belair, to me, is the best women's wrestler on the roster. And
easily run.
Interesting. And she's got these big wow moments in the ring that I don't think Rhea Ripley has. And she has her following online, and that's great. And we all know why she has that following.
Yeah.
I'm not interested.
Nah, me neither. But okay, another thing I want to bring up about this entire situation is, well, of course, Dominic is a big part of the story, and oddly enough, as much as people will probably flame me for this, I thought him and Liv had a much better chemistry, as storyline wise, than he and Rhea did. They were kind of boring. Like, what did they do? Beat up Rey Mysterio 4 times? Whereas, like, I felt like they had a better punch, a better chemistry, and it made honestly Dominic, when he got with Liv, storyline wise, it flourished his character a ton. I
became much more interested.
Oh, 100%. He was boring when he was with Rhea, and it's honestly scary because what is Dom gonna do now? I mean, well, we can maybe make guesses.
Still save this.
You can save it for sure, but it's like, I don't know. Where do you go with his storyline? Where do you go with the Judgment Day storyline? They had a big involvement in this storyline, and that's a lot. Yeah, it is a lot. And I hope that the Judgment Day end soon. I can't stand them. I really hate JD McDonough.
I feel like we're going to get our wish this week.
I hope
or at least at the Royal. They may pull this out to the Rumble.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're going to get our ending there.
It's just
my biggest issue with this match ending is we have 3 outstanding female wrestlers that are about to return. We know all 3 of them are coming back soon. And now we know one of them is going to be paired with Rhea Ripley. And I don't like any of the 3 possibilities. I don't think it'll be a good match. I don't think she matches up well with any of the 3. And from the sound of it, Charlotte's basically out. She's almost guaranteed to be on Smackdown, from what the internet says. So that leaves Alexa and Becky. And we've already seen the Becky Lynch experience. I know they were hurt. I don't think she meshes well with Rhea. I don't like the mic work between the 2. And do we really think Alexa Bliss can handle this? I mean, Rhea's a hard worker, and Alexa's small and has not wrestled in a very long time.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so here's my thing about it is, number one, giving Rhea the belt. She does have to fight those people that you just mentioned. She could surprise us completely, and they could be fantastic matches. But if it were me booking it, I would wholeheartedly believe that Liv herself could put on fantastic matches, no questions about it, with Becky, with Bayley, with any of them. It's a little mundane as far as thinking towards the future with Rhea with these matches, because the first thing you think off the top of your head is that, half of them we've already seen already, and it's just going to be complete reshoot of what happened a year or 2 ago. And I just think that it's a little disappointing that we're not getting to really see what Liv Morgan as a champion can do, and her mic work without Rhea. And I think that sucks, because Rhea doesn't need it. Liv needs it desperately. And I don't know. I really don't like that match. What would y'all rate that match? Did y'all rate it?
I'm about to say, quick, give me numbers. I did 8, but I'm weird.
8?
Clearly.
God, I give that match.
I legitimately like the 2 of them together. I liked the double Riptide finish. I just don't like the implications for the future. But as far as the match itself,
that match an 8.
I like the way they mesh together.
It's the famous words of the final boss. Now go home and smoke some crack.
Shoot me. I liked it.
Is a solid 4.
Yeah, I was gonna give it a 4. That match is not good at all.
And I'm being generous.
Well, I'll be the outlier here. That's fine.
Yeah, 4, 4, 8.
We've seen the matches. We've seen this match 3 times, and it gets to a point where it's like, wow, yay, whatever. This match is a 4. If you're nice, it's a 5. It's an average match. I'm not going to tell you that it's not. It had some good work. Rhea did great. Liv did great. Ending sucked. But we've seen this match 3 times. Nobody wants to watch this. So,
not anymore.
Yeah, that's a solid 4 for me. It's not good and it's not bad, but it's a little worse than good.
And next up, I'm going to get to poo-poo on this parade. Jey Uso defeats Drew McIntyre I
hated
do
this
not
ending.
like this match.
No, I do not.
And
like this
I
match at all.
hated the ending even more. This makes Drew, I don't know if you guys agree, they've built him up to be so strong, and then just like that, we completely get rid of him.
Yep.
We undo all the good work.
I mean, as far as the match went, it was like a shady pinfall. Like, Jay was getting...
Yeah.
He was getting rocked the whole match. I mean, if it wasn't because he was crafty, he wouldn't have won that match. Which, you know, is whatever. But, like, for what Drew McIntyre is trying to do as far as storyline, where he's going on this witch hunt, trying to take out all the Bloodline members, if he can't even take out Jay, is this dude even going to take out Tama Tonga? Yeah, like, is this dude even going to take out Tama Tonga? Like,
yeah,
it just made him look weak.
I see your point. I'm going to disagree with both of you and say that I think it was the right call, and here's why. Was the match the best? No, wasn't the best match. But who do you face after Jey Uso in the pecking order? Anybody want to answer that one?
I mean, in terms of Drew's original bloodline, you're looking at possibly Jimmy or Solo.
Or Sammy.
No, he already fought. He already fought Sammy.
Sammy's out. Yeah.
No, that's right.
Solo's in a different bloodline. Who's next in line after Jay?
It's Jimmy.
No, he already fought Jimmy. Who's next in line after Jay?
Roman.
Correct.
I argue Solo. I do.
You can't argue Solo. Solo, he already came out.
He's hunting the original bloodline.
Drew on a SmackDown already told the new bloodline they were cool. They've established this. My point is, in the pecking order, there's nobody after Jay. So you have to extend this program a little bit. I do like the idea of it being kind of a snuck it in there win for Jey Uso. I don't want Jey Uso to look weak. I don't think this is the time for Jey Uso to get smashed by Drew McIntyre on Drew's quest to greatness. So I would say, while it made the match feel a little lackluster, I think it was the right call, because now we can get another match or two with Drew before he heads towards Roman Reigns. Maybe space it out a little bit. And that gives us time to have all of our WrestleMania feuds, because Drew is not facing Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. It's not going to happen. Drew's not facing Roman Reigns at Royal Rumble, because Roman's going to be in the Royal Rumble. And he's not facing him at the Elimination Chamber.
If you're going down this path,
you could sneak it in. I think that's underselling the storyline. I think Drew's path to Roman Reigns is somewhere near SummerSlam next year, and you have to find a way to inflate the storyline.
If you're going down this path, then there are better matches, or matches that have more relevance, that could have been put in this place, and this match could have happened this week, the week coming up.
Mm-hmm.
It feels out of place given the ending.
Oh, I agree with that. I don't think the match was. It wasn't a 10 out of 10 by any stretch of the imagination. I agree.
Before we go to the main event, give me numbers.
Personally, I'm going to give the match. I'm going to give it a 6. It was a little above average, but the ending was flat, and it does feel a little bit like a momentum stopper for Drew McIntyre, which I don't love, but I think it's necessary for the story.
I give it a 5 because Jey Uso's entrance is just the best. I'm just kidding.
I'm giving a baseline 5.
Yeah, I give it a 5. It wasn't a bad match, but it wasn't a good match either. It didn't do much. It was just there.
Now, going from poo-pooing on everybody's parade to the main event, CM Punk and Seth frickin' Rollins, the two, I would argue, best wrestlers on the planet currently, as we're sitting here. They put on an excellent clinic to end what I think was a good show overall. What do we think about their chemistry, though?
Fantastic.
I enjoyed it, but I saw some people online that didn't exactly love it.
I love the dilemma. I love what they're trying to put Seth Rollins through with having Punk in the company. As you saw through the whole match, and I see a lot of people online talking about how, Seth carried CM Punk through this match, yada, yada, yada. But, okay, yes, Seth Rollins put in work in this match. So did Punk, but Seth was dishing out more damage, but I think what they're trying to build up, as far as what I was seeing, they're trying to show how under Seth Rollins' skin CM Punk is. And I think him literally beating the ever-living shit out of Punk this entire match, just for him to come up short and lose to the master, really is going to propel Seth Rollins in this storyline and even his character further. Because when Punk came back to the company, it was online. Everyone was saying Seth was freaking out, all this stuff. He genuinely, I think deep down, Seth Rollins really doesn't like CM Punk. But I think as far as, I think this is fantastic for propelling Seth Rollins' character. And I think that's what Punk intends to do with this. I think him winning is fantastic. I love the ending. I love what it's going to do for Seth Rollins. That's what I love about this match. I love what it's going to do for Seth Rollins.
This isn't going away, I don't think.
No, it is not. And his anger and his hate and him wanting to be the best, Seth Rollins wants to be the best, but he can't because CM Punk is in front of him, and he just can't seem to get over him. I think there's going to be some great storytelling here, and I can't wait.
I think we're getting at least 2 more out of these guys.
I thought the match was very technically sound. I thought it was a good match. I will say that for me, the in-ring action didn't exactly live up to the fireworks that those guys put together in promo work.
We all expected a 10 because of
that particular promo they cut on the Raw right before the Raw Netflix, so last week's Raw. That was
fantastic.
It's in the top 10, top 5 of all time, somewhere in there, right?
Mm-hmm.
The match was good. That's a WrestleMania match, and I'm sorry, Raw Netflix was awesome, but it's not WrestleMania. And I've heard people make this comparison online and say, oh, it felt like a WrestleMania, blah, blah, blah. No, it was Raw. It was Raw, right? So for me, it's a little deflating that we had this great build-up, and then the payoff was a main event on Raw. And while it was a bigger than normal show, it wasn't where I wanted to see the match. I wanted to see this match at WrestleMania 41. Now, we may still see this match at WrestleMania 41. Unfortunately, now, this will not be the first time that those two have met in ring, and I think that takes a little bit from the gravitas of the match. They can definitely do some stipulations, and I probably harken back to CM Punk versus Drew McIntyre and say, hey, they put together what I would consider the greatest Hell in a Cell match of all time. After already meeting in the ring twice, right? So there's still an opportunity for Seth and CM Punk to have an absolute blowout of a match. Yeah. The only thing for me is I'm a little fatigued. I think CM Punk just did this. He just had a 3-match series with Drew McIntyre, this blood feud, there's all this anger. I don't want to see the same rerun, it just removing Drew McIntyre and putting Seth Rollins in there, right? So I hope this is their last interaction for a while. I hope CM Punk moves on to different things. I think Seth needs to too. I think we need to revisit this at WrestleMania 42 or somewhere where we can give this match the platform it deserves to have. Whether maybe at SummerSlam would be fine. And then we can reignite that fire and do it in a stadium full of 70,000 people where this match deserves.
You're trying to make space for Rock and Roman is what you're trying to do. I'm just kidding.
I've been trying to make space for Rock and Roman for 5 years.
I couldn't disagree more.
I couldn't either.
I feel like they're going to do this dance all the way until WrestleMania.
Yeah. I mean, we've been dying for this rivalry, man. And I know you brought up a point last week where it was like, yeah, it's a little tiring because they have been kind of feuding the last year since Punk has came back. And so, like, seeing their match was kind of meh.
Cena and Rock feuded for 2 years and we didn't get tired.
Yeah, I know. But
you're not comparing The Rock and John Cena to CM Punk and Seth Rollins.
Right? I think it's a great comparison.
Apples and bananas.
Seth Rollins is what CM Punk was when I was growing up today. He is the best in the business currently, I'd probably say. But
to each his own. I think the in-ring, I will stand by the in-ring didn't deliver the way I'd hoped it would.
I think you're missing what they're trying to tell, though. because it's like a master and apprentice type of thing.
I got
right?
it. I picked up on it.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm a true believer in the stage. That's why they call it the grandest stage of them all at WrestleMania, right? The stage can make the match sometimes. And 18,000 people wasn't cutting it for me. Crowd wasn't rowdy enough for me. The stakes weren't high enough for me, right? It was a grudge match. That's all it was. There was nothing bigger on the line here. There was no cage surrounding them. There was, I mean, again, a very technically sound match. The problem I have with that is I have seen Seth Rollins put on that same match with other talented people on the roster on random Raws that had no consequence.
And should we dock Seth Rollins because he puts on good matches every week?
Yeah, I mean,
no.
Are we doing that?
In terms of making this one stand out as special or well above average,
He almost has to get hurt to do that at this point.
No, I don't think so. I think back to him and Cody's feud, right? And it seems like it always ends in a Hell in a Cell, but his Hell in a Cell with Cody was fantastic too. There was other circumstances that were involved there, but Cody and Seth Rollins proved to me one thing: Seth Rollins can deliver when the stakes are high. He can make a match feel special. And with CM Punk, it just felt like a Raw main event, which it was a Raw main event. But in my eyes, having seen these two interact the way they have already, it felt like it deserved something more. So that's just my opinion.
I also
What's your number?
Yeah. What's your number?
8.
Nathan?
I give that a 9. It was a great match, I thought.
I'm going solid 9. Yeah.
Wow. One thing I want to point out.
I love these two together.
One thing I want to point out. One thing I want to point out. To the buildup of this match. If you noticed, if you were watching on social media, CM Punk when he came out was wearing the jacket he had wore in AEW when he fought. I can't remember if it was I can't remember what wrestler it was.
It's the famous one.
Yeah, it's the famous. That's it. So he was wearing that jacket, the exact same jacket that night, and there was a spot in the match where he hits the go to sleep on Seth Rollins, and Seth Rollins bounces off the ropes and then falls on his shoulders. That also took place that same night that he wore that jacket and fought whoever in AEW. I don't know necessarily why they recalled to that night in AEW a lot this match. I don't necessarily see the correlation. Maybe because it's like Seth is trying to. I know that they mentioned that
it was a replication of the match he had with Jon Moxley, which we would know in WWE as Dean Ambrose. They duplicated the spot. Now I don't know if that was just Seth sending a shout out to his friend, or if there's any deeper.
I think that was just friends shouting out. Friends.
Yeah, something to do. I just thought that was interesting to point out.
The last funny thing we'll talk about Raw before we move on to SmackDown. Punk did do a media session at the very end of the media, and he was laughing about how this is one of the first times he's ever taken to go to sleep, and he feels terrible for people after having taken a few that seemingly were a little stiff, which I thought was just funny.
They did. They were pretty. There were some hard go to sleeps.
Yeah,
I will say, Seth. I mean, typically when CM Punk does the go to sleep, he doesn't connect with the knee the way that I think Seth was connected with the knee. There were a few times where he straight kicked him in the face, right? Which is, I don't know if that's just because Seth hasn't practiced with the move a lot or whatever the case may be, but that's probably why CM Punk said that, because there was at least 2 of those where he straight up kneed him in the face.
Yeah.
So.
For sure.
So that wraps up Raw on Netflix. We got to move on to SmackDown because I have a lot of thoughts on a few of these. So first up, Paul Heyman comes out and does classic Paul Heyman things with the microphone. I never get tired of hearing a Paul Heyman promo. Then he brings Cody Rhodes out, gives him his flowers, and then does what we all expect and enters Roman into the Rumble. Then KO interrupts, and then we go on the whole clown car where then the bloodline comes out, yada, yada, yada. It was very loaded for me, very busy. What do we think?
I thought it was a long opening for a SmackDown. And not that that's bad, not at all. But I thought that it was a little too much, maybe. Now
Had
there's
a little clown car too much at the end.
Yeah, especially with Fatu and the Tongan coming out. I can't remember which one it was. But you could just tell that they're trying to, like, sometimes, because with SmackDown it's a different story than Raw. They actually have a set time for SmackDown. So
still much more traditional.
Right. So you can tell that they're kind of just trying to, like, drag it out a little bit. Where one of the things I want to tell you is, so when Cody runs out, goes to fight KO in the crowd, and he comes back, I was like, what? I was like, why is he coming back to save Paul Heyman? And also, how are we feeling about just Roman asking for a title defense, or not Roman specifically, but just being like, hey, I want the title, not really going on like a I'm coming for you type of vendetta.
I think because Roman's not around very often,
mm-hmm.
and we still have that, he hasn't really wrapped up the whole losing the title bit that they typically do directly after losing. I'm okay with it in this one scenario with Roman.
I really thought the segment did some things great and some things not great, right? I like how they weave storylines into each other. Like we've got KO versus Cody, and that weaves into the bloodline a little bit. And then obviously we've got still
that first weave was great.
Right, yeah. Kind of the new bloodline and the Paul Heyman. And I mean, the company's getting really good at weaving the storylines together. I will agree with you and say that it felt like there was a little bit too much going on. KO is really a standout for me in the segment. His promo when he walked out
was fantastic.
Mentioned like, hey, he walked out here and shook your hand. 3 seconds later, he tells you Roman wants his belt back, and we can't afford to let you drop this belt back to Roman Reigns because the company's not going under that tyranny again, right? I'm starting to sympathize with KO a little bit.
yeah. I mean, in kayfabe, he's right. Yeah,
KO is spitting facts.
I think it accomplished getting me a little more excited for KO versus Cody. I think it accomplished again, following up Raw Netflix where Cody came in and saved Roman from KO. Well, Cody comes back in and helps Jimmy Uso battle off the Tama Tonga and Jacob Fatu. So here we go again. Cody Rhodes is protecting the bloodline. This is leading to something for sure. This is intentional. Yeah. I don't think this is just to be built up.
I don't know who's coming in after KO, but somebody's coming in after KO.
There's a reason for it. So I think all in all, the last thing I'm going to say is, man, Paul Heyman is just such a storyteller. I mean, every word that comes out of his mouth.
God bless that man.
The way he guides storylines and just interacts with the crowd, he just has
nobody better.
Love and respect of all of the WWE universe, and I think he proved that again in that segment. So I'm just really excited to see where it goes from there. Good start to SmackDown, but maybe a little busy.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that whirlwind, we get Chelsea Green and Micha for the Women's United States title. They've had some good matches, I thought. This one was not one of them.
Yeah, this one was
I think part of it is they're getting a little stale because we're forcing these two as the only two mid-carders on SmackDown for some reason, which I don't quite understand because we have plenty of female talent on SmackDown.
We could have a lot more going for the United States title, for sure. A lot of women.
I'm not trying to down on Meechin here, but there's other we could do other things other than Chelsea Green Meechin.
Yeah, but it seems like they don't want to put the belt on Bianca or Asuka or all these other women that could make the title look really good because either A, one's holding a championship already, or B, they're in the main event or going to be in the main event with Rhea or now Tiffany Stratton.
Yeah, here's my problem with it. We have a fatal 4-way, which we'll talk a little bit about later.
Yeah, we'll get there.
For the women's undisputed title. And
for
we've got the
number one contender.
wrestler, the same two women fighting over this U.S. title. This U.S. title is a great addition. I'm appreciative that it was introduced.
We have to use this. We have to use this appropriately.
I was grateful to be live in person for Smackdown, as well as Nathan and Will here. We actually got to watch the dumpster match between Meechin and Chelsea Green.
It was a great
That was
match.
Their peak. We're here with that match. They're not beating that.
No.
We've got to introduce some new folks to this United States title picture and make sure that we keep up the excitement for it. I fear that Meechin has come out and challenged her because this is going to end with Meechin taking the belt. And
I don't think so.
I think it is. I think they continue to have these guys bounce off each other, and they're continuing to have the heel win in Chelsea Green. I think they're building all that up so that Meechin can have her big overcoming the evil duo of Piper Niven and Chelsea Green to win the belt. I don't like it. I don't want it. I know a lot of people love Meechin and feel great about her, and she did great in the dumpster match. I think that was their peak. They need to move on. So I think as far as match
Chelsea
goes,
carries her, in my opinion. Chelsea makes Meechin look fantastic.
I think taking the title off Chelsea Green would be a humongous mistake.
No, she needs to keep it. She just needs to fight.
Mark my word, they're going to do it.
Oh,
you know why? Because it took them forever to put it on her. And for some reason, I don't know what it is, WWE does not really love Chelsea the way that she deserves to be respected and loved. And I think she would be I've been screaming for months, if not over a year, she needed to be in the world title picture.
Yep.
So
I agree. I think it is a shame that she is in the United States title scene. But let's see.
And the funniest moment of Friday night comes up next, where Jacob Fatu's yelling at all the producers. They're trying to kick him out of the building. And who comes in to save the day for the producers? LA Knight.
Yeah.
And it could have. I know some people didn't like the LA Knight part of the segment. I loved it. I thought this was the highlight of the night for me. LA Knight on the screen always impresses me.
It was almost like it was what makes me laugh about it is it felt like Triple H was like, yeah, this Shinsuke shit needs to stop. So let's just throw him in there and see if it gets a pop or not. And it was fantastic. It was almost like he just threw the towel in and was like, you know what, put LA Knight in a good match, please, God, because he needs to get far away from Shinsuke. I'm sorry. The United States title in general. Get him away from it. Put that man with the bloodline in the world title scene. Like, get that man somewhere. And I'm so glad that they did that.
Yeah, I thought it was a great segment. I think we've got to now start to distance Jacob Fatu from the bloodline storyline, right? Solo lost. Solo's not the tribal chief. So he's got nobody to run around and go, I love you, Solo. Right? He's alone now, but guess what? He's a lone werewolf, right? And he needs to continue to bring the pain week to week. And I think pairing him initially with LA Knight, if that's the road we're going down, I think there's nobody better, right? LA Knight's got a great promo, and you could kind of see it in this segment a little bit. He shoves Jacob Fatu out, cuts a quick one-liner, right? Says he's got a title to win. Yeah, walks out. And just there's some chemistry there, I think, between him and Jacob Fatu. And if that's the direction that they're going in or planning to go in the future, I think that's a winner. So sure. I thought it was funny.
It doesn't even matter who wins or loses that match. That match propels both of those wrestlers equally. I can't wait to watch that match. Would you hold that at a PLE though? Or would that be?
Absolutely.
Oh,
yeah.
I think Jacob Fatu versus anybody right now is PLE work.
Yeah.
And I'm excited to see Jacob Fatu get into
a singles match.
Yeah, Will's feuds because he's going to put on some seriously great matches. Now he needs to be careful. He doesn't need to get hurt.
He's a little reckless. We got to rein that in just a tad.
He kind of likes to just jump off of things and think about it later, which is, part of the allure of his character. But something about him when he's talking to whoever he's feuding with or cutting a promo, it feels real. It feels personal. Mm-hmm. And that sets up for great storyline. So I'm excited.
And Nathan brought this up, and we're just going to segue right into it. Shinsuke Nakamura versus LA Knight. I personally cannot get on board with Shinsuke's character. I think this character needs a manager badly. So bad.
He needs something.
I don't like him being in the title picture, but
not even like a rebranding.
I think LA Knight is kind of past this.
Not even a rebranding can help him.
I will say Shinsuke Nakamura's entrance, awesome.
It's fantastic.
Past that, it's awful, and it needs to go away. I don't know that I was ever a fan of him dropping the belt to Shinsuke in the first place. I think LA Knight's far and away above Shinsuke. The match was what I expected it to be. I will say this, that there was a good part of the match where there was a part towards the end where I really felt like LA Knight probably will win, right? Right up to where he hit the BFT at the last minute on Shinsuke and went for the pin. I thought it was definitely a 3 count until Jacob Fatu pulled him out, which was a shock to me, right? But made sense within the storyline. Jacob Fatu's getting his revenge for getting ejected from the arena, and then obviously all hell breaks loose, right? Cody
again,
Rhodes,
the clown car. We're doing this too much.
And with the clown car, right? And that obviously sets up our main event. So I think the match with Shinsuke and LA Knight, not great, and it's continuing to not be great. I don't necessarily know that I want to see LA Knight as the United States champion again. I think we just need to separate these two.
Move on.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea that he drops it. I think it's a good idea to put the title on Shinsuke just to move LA Knight, just to get him going forward. But
before we get to that tag team match, and I have thoughts on that. One of the other highlights of the night for me. Tiffany Stratton comes out, does the classic, hey, I won the championship and outsmarted the champion with the Money in the Bank briefcase. And then, of course, everybody involved again, clown car segment, the third or fourth on SmackDown comes out. They all come out. They end up in a fatal 4-way. I enjoyed the match, though. I think this is one of those very few match types where I like Nia Jax being involved. I think this adds a lot to this fatal 4-way. It really hit for me. It was definitely the match of the night for me personally. I enjoyed the girls. I think Bianca's fantastic.
For sure. I think it was great. For when we talked about last week, when we were like, well, Nia Jax has got to come back and get her little revenge match, whatever. This was a fantastic workaround so that we don't have to see Nia Jax do that again. And I know, but at least not now. At least we get to see Bayley versus Tiffany. But I'm just glad that is not in the next month's cards, that match. I liked the match as far as action storytelling. It was really good. Nia Jax didn't do too bad of a job. Bayley, of course, does always a fantastic job. I really, really enjoyed the match. It was probably one of the highlights of the night for me personally.
Yeah, I would agree. Oh, it was a good match. I think it was a good way to showcase some of the women's talent on the roster. I think there's some folks in here that need to be in the women's mid card. Naomi, honestly, Nia Jax. I think the only two that have any business being
Bayley and Bianca, baby.
The women's title, or is going to be Bianca and Bayley. So, don't know what they have in store. Do think that this title picture is a little crowded. Hopefully, they move one or two of these folks into the mid card.
They've got a lot to do before Charlotte shows up.
Right, and we've got Bayley showing up to face Tiffany Stratton next week on next Smackdown, which to me telegraphs that Tiffany's going to retain, right? She's obviously not going to drop. Right, and that for me is the most disappointing part of the match, because just judging by who won the match, I don't feel like there's a legitimate threat to the title, which makes
No.
Now, yeah.
Right.
In terms of where it's headed, we talked about this last week. Y'all didn't get to see it, but we don't like the Nia Jax, Tiffany Stratton run back, but we all know it's got to happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm all on board with Triple H trying to postpone this, because we need to get more action with all these wrestlers that need the spotlight more than Nia Jax.
It feels like they're going to avoid doing this all but one time.
Oh, yeah.
It seems.
Hopefully.
Tiffany versus Nia at WrestleMania.
Then we get our main event tag team match we had been building up to all night. Cody and Jimmy versus Tama Tonga and Jacob Fatu. I enjoyed the match, I'll preface this, but the highlight for me was this Jacob Fatu Nightmare on Elm Street promo as they're walking out.
Yeah.
I mean, that was incredible stuff.
It was good. And it was 100% his idea.
It's just the beginning. That's what comes to his head, right? Like, he seems like he has just the right gears that turn at the right time when he's cutting a promo. And his delivery is so raw and strong, and just
he has a
really
knack for this.
He does have a knack for this, but I think it's because he talks from his soul a little bit and doesn't try to read the promo to the crowd. So, yeah, no, I agree. I think the match was really, really fun. I think everybody was happy.
We could put this tag team match on.
No, I think look, anytime these guys get a chance to work together, it seems like they're all flying around and having fun. I did like the idea that KO interfered and drew Cody Rhodes to the back, leaving Jimmy there to take the pin. Makes Jacob look strong.
Yes.
But it also kind of creates, Cody's creating tension with everybody, even the people he's trying to save, right? So, it really tells a good story about the champion getting backed into a corner, maybe with no allies. So,
for sure.
So to wrap this up,
what do we rate that match? We need numbers.
Oh no, we're not rating. Okay. The only reason we rated Raw was because it felt more like a PLE and less like a Raw.
Oh, okay. So we're only rating PLEs. I gotcha.
We're only going to rate PLEs from here on out, unless we have a random Raw or SmackDown that ends up like, the first Raw on Netflix. So to wrap up, I just want to, what we know about the Rumble so far, I want to talk a little bit. First up, Cody Rhodes and Kevin Owens in this ladder match. First up, are we going to put the Winged Eagle up? Are we going to put the regular title up? Or are we going to do, I don't know which one we're going to do.
I think what they do, if you want to do a fantasy of what they should do, they put both of those titles up, and whoever wins that, they unify both of those titles, and we get a brand spanking new undisputed looking title. Ooh. I think that is, if not what they're shooting for, that's what I would do. Because, imagine a new and improved Winged Eagle. I
don't think there's anybody in the WWE universe that would be upset with that.
Not a single person.
I would be thrilled to see that. So, if that is the end game for this storyline, I think it's great. I love the idea of a ladder match between KO and Cody specifically. It's unique. It's not something I've seen in Cody's title reign as of yet. And KO's already proven he's willing to jump off of anything and do a front flip. So I think it's going to be a great match. I think it might be Cody's best match as champion. Albeit a little predictable, right? And this is
definitely predictable, but
this is the derivative of the segment that The Rock and Cody Rhodes had on that Raw following WrestleMania 40. Because I think we've all thought either it's Rock or somebody that's on a higher echelon that's going to come back, challenge for that belt and take it, right? I'm starting to lean towards it being John Cena. I don't think it's going to be The Rock now, but it damn sure is not going to be Kevin Owens. And that's kind of where my mind's at. So it's going to be a great match. They're going to put on a clinic. You can get some wow moments. ultimately, I think Cody Rhodes wins. I think he has to.
It's going to be a
think this is
fantastic
the
match, no matter.
perfect middle of the Royal Rumble card match.
It's great.
This is going to be a good separator between the women and the men. I think it's going to be fantastic. Speaking of the women, we'll talk about them first because they're almost definitely opening up the show. Who do we think has the best chance of victory? And who do we think are going to be the surprise entrants? Because I've got one, courtesy of the internet for sure. What do you guys think? Who's going to win?
Dude, I haven't given this much thought.
This one's harder than the men.
It's
This
very
is much
harder.
more difficult.
It's almost like, I mean, I know a lot of women deserve to have that title shot. But as far as, I just don't know who you'd put over. I don't know who comes out on top in this one. I mean, if you want to have your surprise entrance like Becky could win it, Charlotte, all of them, you know. But at that point, why give it to them when there's a lot more, you know, women that are active right now that could also benefit from winning a Rumble? I don't have an answer for this one. I say Karma comes out at number 30. I'm just kidding. Y'all remember who Karma was?
Karma.
Yeah, y'all remember?
I think this is kind of a unique situation, right? Because usually, especially in the last couple of years, I've honestly felt like the women's Royal Rumble matches were always teed up to be a little better than the men's, right? So I think we're in a situation where it could be anybody. I'll tell you, I'd like to see Bianca Belair win. I think
Solid.
she's earned it.
Very solid.
She's been carrying the women's division on her back, and I think she could tell some really great stories. She could tell a really great story with Tiffany Stratton. I think it would be a fantastic match.
I think Jade Cargill is going to be a force to be reckoned with through this.
That's where
Rumble.
what makes me think Bianca will not win, right? Because I think she's headed on a collision course with Jade Cargill to ultimately end that. But there's a lot of options. We could have a returning Becky Lynch or returning Charlotte Flair win this match. We could have Bayley. We could have Naomi. We could have a multitude of women. And then, you know, I think from the surprise entrance part, we're obviously going to get a Becky or Charlotte.
I don't think they would classify those surprises.
I think you're going to see AJ Lee.
That's what I was going to say. As far as a surprise
they've
entrance.
been holding her reintroduction for the Royal Rumble. I think CM Punk, obviously, who's married to AJ Lee, has a great relationship with WWE now, and it would be a great time for her to come in, have a great WrestleMania moment, and then she can go back to doing what she was doing. But something fans want to see, and I think it's an A plus B = C situation where where WWE is going to make it happen. It just has to happen.
Put it over. Her and Tiffany at WrestleMania would feed families. I'm just kidding. I wouldn't put her over, but it would be a fantastic match.
My winner is Charlotte Flair. I think I'm pretty confident in that.
That's a solid pick.
I think there is a more natural setup for Becky Lynch and Rhea Ripley. So I feel like they're just going to naturally do that one. Mm-hmm. And Charlotte feels the obvious answer for Tiffany. I feel like that's going to be.
If Charlotte wins that, who does she go after? Does she go after Rhea since Rhea ripped the title off of her? Or do
Charlotte's definitely going to Tiffany.
Yeah,
Tiffany Stratton.
That's how you build that.
That'd be right back. I think I would be happy with that. Yeah.
As far as surprise entrances, I definitely agree with the AJ. We're all going to be waiting for that music to hit. One that I think might happen, which I never thought would happen again, the Bella Twins.
Oh,
very good call.
Interesting.
Yeah, right. I've been hearing that.
Both of them?
What was it? Nikki Bella was at Raw Netflix, right?
Nikki showed up, and that's really rare.
Yeah.
These days for the Bella Twins to even use their Bella name, let alone show up to a Raw. It almost makes it not a surprise entrance for me, but I think it's going to happen for sure.
It'll definitely have a pop for sure. That's good predictions, man.
Now we'll go to the men, and I'll give my take, considering the other two of you have already ruined this. So we have Roman and John in it. We have a few other men that'll probably show up. Randy Orton. I think this should be John Cena.
Yeah. You don't give this to anyone else but John Cena.
It's just one of these moments it sets up too perfectly.
Sure does.
It sets up way too perfectly. We should get the record-breaking moment on the biggest stage of them all. And that's why I think John wins this.
I like that because I'm going to be
that.
there. I get to see it.
Love that.
It's. I know John will much prefer what we've already talked about, where he gets beat down and works his way back up. I think this is one of these moments where Triple H and the fans and everybody who has sense talk sense into John for this. We all want that call at the end of one of these nights with John Cena holding up that title. And we want the summer of John Cena. I think we all want one last, the face runs the place, Fruity Pebbles John Cena all summer with the title around his waist. And the only way to get this is having him be at the end of the Royal Rumble. I do think this Rumble will set up quite a few fun other storylines, particularly with Roman involved, because Roman getting out of this match now is going to take some serious work. And if they're going to do the Rock match, he has to show up. He has to.
The Rock has
if
to
he doesn't show up, if he doesn't show up at the Rumble in Indy, the match is off.
I agree. I think, yeah.
And if he doesn't show up, this could all go sideways with Roman involved.
Yeah, I think your final four are Roman Reigns, John Cena, The Rock, and CM Punk. Right? I think ultimately there's some sort of tussle there at the end that calls the Rock and Roman to eliminate each other. Right? I think they cancel each other out. I think you get a great moment with John Cena and CM Punk in the middle of the ring one more time, throwing back and forth. And I think John Cena comes out on top by tossing CM Punk over the top rope. Ultimately, the only losers here are nobody, and the only winners here are all of us, right? Because if you think about that being the final four, what an epic!
It's going to be fantastic.
That will be the most epic conclusion to a Royal Rumble of all time. So I think headed into WrestleMania 41, that sets up John Cena versus Cody Rhodes, and it sets up Roman Reigns versus The Rock, which I think we all agree need to be the headlining match.
It needs to happen.
Needs to. There's got to be some build up, and that's the moment to do it, especially with Rock and Roman.
If the internet and we all are right about WrestleMania's main events, all that has to happen.
For sure.
Agreed.
Any last thoughts on the week, boys, before we sign off?
I'm excited for Monday.
I'm excited to see where this goes. I think we're truly on the road to WrestleMania now. And what a gigantic leap for Monday Night Raw, for wrestling in general, and for some great storylines that, I'm thinking about The Rock and Roman Reigns. Hopefully we get that one turned around, but ultimately there's a lot of buzz around wrestling, more buzz around wrestling than there has been in 20 or 30 years. So I'm super excited to see where it goes. And I think this could turn out to be the greatest WrestleMania of all time, which is why I spent so much money on getting a ticket to go there. I think I got a vested interest in this one being really, really great. And I think Triple H, I can't say enough about him and his booking ability. Does he always get it right? No. But he's definitely more in tune with the fan base than the WWE has been in the past. And I'm excited to see where we end up for WrestleMania 41.
Hey, everybody. Like, comment, and subscribe down below. Comment if we missed anything or you want us to talk about anything specific. We have this little segment here at the end where we can fill it with anything you want us to talk about. So hit us up. See y'all next week.
Later.